Welcome to the Confident, Energized, and Sexy Mama Show. I am Dorit Palvanov, your host, wife, mom to 3 daughters, and a femininity coach. My mission with this podcast is to inspire and educate you about your power as a woman, wife, and mother in the 21st century through thought-provoking solo episodes and interviews. I believe that the health of the world begins at home, and as women, we have massive power in this domain. I'm also the creator and facilitator of the groundbreaking community-based membership called Circle, which is a collective of females, women, daughters, wives, and mothers who are ready to ditch the baton of guilt, shame, and sacrifice and instead embody confidence, energy, and passion. You deserve to feel good. You actually can have it all. This is God's plan for you. So mama, straighten your shoulders, sway those hips, and get to own your feminine power like never before. Let's do this. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Confident, Energized, and Sexy Mama podcast. This is me, Dorit Palvanov, your host. And today, you're getting me on the treadmill in my basement, and I'm really struggling lately to fit in a workout. And so I thought, you know what? These are my sisters. They'll understand. They won't judge me, right? So yes, I'm going to be maybe breathing a little bit heavier today. I'm not going to be speaking. I'm not going to be talking for too long. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an update of, what's up in my world, since now we are, getting together less frequent. So, man, I recently started a journey to cleanse. On the physical level, the way the cleanse looks like, it's clearing my parasites and getting rid of strep bacteria. I've been studying from the medical medium, and as you guys know, I've been talking about acne for many years, and I have this freaking problem that I just cannot beat out of my system. And so I'm putting more effort into figuring it out and putting more attention on my digestive system and the gut lining, and oh my gosh, there's so much to learn. So anyways, I started this parasite cleanse. It's a brutal experience on all the planes, mentally, emotionally, spiritually even. What I'm learning from parasites is that they literally suck the nutrients out of your body. And if you think about it psychospiritually, that makes so much sense because I've been feeling like life has been sucked out of me. Not so much anymore, but still, that is, that's how it feels like. Bottom line, that's how I feel. And I need to get rid of this because I am just craving to step more into my confidence and more of my energy and just my power as a woman, wife, and mother. And so it's working. Let me just say that it's working. And then on the spiritual level, the cleanse for me, it's really cleansing my the negative thoughts that I have about myself, and just really embracing a completely new concept of who I am and who I thought that I am, or who I thought or think that I should be, specifically when it comes to looking at myself in the mirror. And so today you will hear my conversation with a friend of mine, Sarah Cognilio, she's actually a photographer, and she's created this beautiful project
where she took pictures from her backyard, in quotes, but pictures of nature and just, her surroundings, and how she had chosen to see beauty amongst times of fear, um, just immense stress. We're talking obviously about times of COVID, and when the world had turned upside down. And this is such a timely conversation for me, especially since I'm going through, my own spiritual, mental, emotional, physical cleanse. I am learning to look at myself in the mirror and see beauty, real beauty, instead of, the first thing that I see is these, freaking red, inflamed, ugly bumps and just, you guys know, for those of you who are struggling with acne, you know what I mean. And really the choice to see a different narrative, right? It's a choice. To focus on the person and the soul that is behind the skin and the inflammation, and to give myself the permission to really be who I need to be in the time that it needs to be. So this is a little bit about me. Before I play the interview with Sarah, I just want to let you know that I'm going to have our third gathering of Circle next week. So this episode is going to air on December the 11th, on Friday. And so next week, on December the 17th, we are having our third gathering of Circle, which is my monthly membership community. It's my signature monthly membership, you can call it program, where we deepen deeper in our femininity, in our power, and we explore how we can have it all without killing ourselves in the process. So I would love for you to join us. And if you want to explore and learn more about this, then head on over to www.doritpalvanov.com/circle and join us. You guys, it's $30 a month, Canadian. So money is really, it's not a big deal. But what you will get away with is a community. It's a sense of belonging, and it's a sense of understanding yourself deeper on the most basic level, which is yourself as a female, as a woman. You will understand your body better. You will understand your biology better, your hormones better, your female psyche, and then how this works to support your sacred work as a mother, as a wife, as a business owner, as an employee or employer, whatever roles you play in the world. This is like foundation, because when you understand yourself, then you can understand everything around you. Okay, I'm not going to be talking anymore, because I'm sure, me walking on a treadmill is already annoying in your ear. So without further ado, here's my interview with the amazing, lovely, and beautiful Sarah. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Confident, Energized, and Sexy Mama podcast. This is Dorit Palvanov, your host. I'm so excited for you to tune in or eavesdrop my conversation today with Sarah Coniglio, who is a social impact photographer and creator of Project Wonderful. She's traveled to over 25 countries in the world, capturing their beauty with her camera. While traveling, Sarah has also worked with many nonprofits, utilizing her 15 years of experience in the fundraising industry to help them grow and gain awareness through photojournalism. With travel predominantly halted in 2020, Sarah got up close and personal with the place that she calls home, which is New Jersey. it was here that she realized that you don't have to travel thousands of miles to find beauty. The photos she took during this discovery process formed a collection of images of her newly released book, which is called There's Always Something Wonderful. When travel opens back up, Sarah plans to continue journeying around the world. In the meantime, she continues to take in the beauty wherever she is. So, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dorit. I'm so excited to be here as well.
I am so thrilled for our conversation. And before we started recording, I told you that I feel like my soul is longing to have a conversation, like a soul nourishing conversation about beauty and what beauty means specifically to women. So before we start with, talking about Project Wonderful and your beautiful book, which I cannot wait to lay my hands on, can you share with us, share with the listeners a little bit of your backstory? What's your relationship with beauty? Let's start there.
Wow, that's a great question. I think for me, beauty has always been something that I've been attracted to. And I say that in the way that wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, my eye goes towards the beauty. So with photography specifically, there's an easy way to capture that and an easy way to kind of fulfill that like sense of like, wow, that's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so when I started traveling and started taking photos and photography, I really started to hone that kind of skill of being able to, or I should say not even skill, just gift. Like I feel like it's a gift that I can go anywhere and find something beautiful. I just started to really take that on in a way that I wanted to capture the beauty, but then also share it with the world, because I feel like beauty is so healing. It is so important. I always say you can't get angry at beauty. You just can't. Something that's beautiful, you can't be angry at it. Yeah. So I think that at the end of the day, my relationship with beauty is that of there is so much around us, and I feel like it's would be a sin to not recognize the beauty and therefore not feel the wonderful results that you have with acknowledging the beauty that's around you, which again, for me is healing. It's so healing to be amongst beauty and make things beautiful and really capture it.
I love this so much. And I feel like especially now it's so timely because we are just bombarded with such heavy energy that makes beauty be kind of like just fall in the wasteland. Like it's not, there's so much that is talked to about in the media now, and it's all heavy and scary and fear-based. And I feel like, in my conversations with women, there is just sense of just like, it's like we're disconnected from beauty and from who we are. And to me, beauty is really, it's almost like a spiritual experience. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh my goodness, I love that. A lot of times I will call my kind of photography mindful photography, because I almost feel like it's like a meditation when I'm really looking at beauty and engulfed in beauty. I feel like it's so important for me to not only just look at something and capture it, but to really be a part with it, or be a part of it. So connecting with it. One of the photos that I took during the lockdown that's really important to me is one of two cardinals that magically came together for me in my frame with a camera. I was crouching for 15 minutes, and it was just a whole process, beautiful process. And for me, it just really represents this ability to really take in the beauty and then therefore feel that healing from that beauty. So my relationship is one of like, you have to see it. I know that sounds so simple, but it's so easy, like you had just said, in a world that's so noisy, in a world that, there's so much fear, and the emphasis is on the fear. And I say that there's so many ways that that's happening these days, that you actually have to actively see it and be open to it. Like your heart has to be open to it. Your eyes have to be open to it. And it's just like anything else that you are open to. Until you're open to it, it's going to be on the sidelines. It's not going to be there for your receiving of it. So I think for me during this time, I've been more open than ever to that beauty, and it's been so important to kind of counteract the noise that's going on. It's been so difficult. I think that's been the most challenging part for me in this time, is this noise. It's really hard. But I think the beauty has really counteracted that for me, in the way that beauty is still, it's just being present. It's letting go of that noise and focusing on something that is positive and good for you when you really need it.
I love this so much. I'm just thinking about how, everybody talks about, it's all about the connection. It's all about the connection. And, and even though we can't be in person, we still have the connection, and we're so grateful for the internet, and we are. And yet what I'm noticing, and it's been 10 months, almost 9 months of, lockdown, of quarantine, and just life has been completely like everybody's being just the rug is being pulled from under our feet. I personally have never experienced anything like this before, and I'm sure all of us. And we are longing for beauty, we're longing for connection, but not just any connection. I feel like we're longing for the meaningful connections, right? It's not just any connection, it's the meaningful, deep, the depth. I feel like that's what we're longing for. So when you talk about, crouching for 15 minutes and like putting yourself through that quote unquote hustle, it's like it's worth it for you, right? Like you deserve, or the world deserves that kind of picture. And so let's slow down and pay attention. I feel like that's what I'm gathering from the mindful photography. I love it so much. It's such a beautiful way to describe this style of photography, because I feel like, I've seen the picture, and I remember listening to your conversation on another podcast, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But I remember how, the other host, she was like, oh my gosh, she had like a visceral reaction when she saw this picture, right? So I feel like we all have different relationships with beauty and nature, and what this means to us. So it's almost like you expect, whenever you expect something beautiful, because you didn't know, right? You didn't know that the cardinals are gonna, I don't know, is it that they're kissing and like caring for each other? It's so beautiful.
The male was feeding the female. He was
right?
actually feeding the female.
So did you know that it's gonna happen, or were you just sitting there and just letting it be and happen?
I think it was a little bit of both, in the sense that I was just taking in them just being, and they were happy, they were singing, they were flying from branch to branch, but they were together. So I had the sense that they were going to come together. I didn't think they would be feeding each other. I didn't think that they do exactly what they did, but I had this sense that there was something there, like there was something beautiful happening, even in them not being together, like they actually came together at that point. So I think going back to what you said earlier, it always is worth it. And that's what I lean into when I am in those kinds of situations where it's like, am I going to sit here for 15 minutes and is it going to be worth it? Well, in that instance, it absolutely was. I mean, I had this beautiful photograph that, I, that to this day is one of my favorite photographs I've ever taken because of the magic of it. But even if I didn't get that photograph, it's that process of being there and just taking it in because it was all beautiful. It was beautiful from the minute I saw the two cardinals, the male and the female. And I was like, wow, they're just out here. It's so still right now. During that time, I don't know about you, but everything felt so much more still and nature was so happy. And I was just kind of taking in that part of it. So it's not always about that outcome, which it was a wonderful outcome in that instance, but it is more so just being amongst it for me. And that's the beauty part of it, or the healing part of it as well. So it's a little bit of both, but at the end of the day, it's the process and the process of being there in it that really has helped me in this time, and I think helps others, right? When you're seeing something beautiful, again, you can't be angry at it. So that mindful taking it of it, when I say mindful, it's just being present. It's just being right there at that moment. And that's what it was for me with that specific instance.
Yeah, I love when you talk about photography and you say that it's healing. Can you tell us more about like the healing of beauty and the nature, and why has it been so crucial for you during the last several months? And how can we kind of like tap into this energy too, even though we don't have let's say the skill of photography?
Yeah, well, I say we have iPhones, by the way, so everybody can take photos these days. So you don't need a big camera like mine to capture these moments. But I'd say during this time, I really had to tap into how I was going to get through this time. I think we all have our different ways of coping and working through challenging times. And I knew for me that I needed to get out in nature. I needed to be outside. I needed to breathe fresh air. I needed to be amongst the trees and the flowers and the wildlife because I knew that that was going to keep me alive and positive and just healthy, and from the perspective emotionally and physically, just literally taking the walks. So that was kind of the first part of it for me. But the day that I took that cardinal photo was when I really realized how healing the actual beauty was for me, and that I walked away from that moment and I felt like, okay, I'm here. I'm here, I'm in this beauty. It's very still. I'm in this moment and everything's okay. And it kind of reminded me that, we do things one step at a time, one day at a time. And certainly during this period of time, these last several months, that's the way we've had to do it. We didn't have the option. Like I didn't have the option of planning my next trip overseas. It just wasn't going to happen. We didn't have the option of knowing what it was going to be like the next month with this uncertainty that was all around us in so many different ways. So I think for me, going out and being amongst this beauty that was there, it was factual, it was in my view,
Yeah. Yeah.
made me feel certainty, made me feel like, yes, all is okay in the world right now in this moment. And really leaning into that helped me, because I would just do it every day. I would do it, and there would be those moments of certainty, those moments of, again, the healing from that certainty and from that beauty that I think really helped me through. And I think that can help other people through, photographer or not, because it's just the action of going out, opening your eyes, opening your heart, and just being in that moment, and knowing that you are amongst this beauty that is not going away at that moment. You can hold on to that in a way, and I think that's really what helped me through
I think what I'm
doing
hearing
that.
you, yeah, I think what I'm hearing you saying is that change is the only constant, and nature, it will always be there, regardless from, politics and what's happening, with healthcare and education and like what, man-made constructs. That is temporary, but what is there to stay is nature and beauty. And I feel like it's really, it grounds us. It really grounds us, right? As a reminder. And I feel like this is so powerful, especially for those of us who are exploring the polarity between, feminine and masculine energies. As women, we are, I mean, feminine and masculine, it's not gender specific, but the majority of women, we have the tendency to embody more of the feminine, which is it's very whole, and it's this like powerful, fierce energy that cannot be linear. It cannot be the same every day, right? And what grounds us is our menstrual cycle. And that's where, our hormones are changing, and every day we are different. And then what grounds us is the masculine energy, which is kind of like, it helps us to feel held and contained. And I think that's what nature does to all of us, right? So nature, it's the masculine energy, it's the comforting energy, that's the parent energy that is there to hold you and capture you and say, it's okay, baby, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. So I want to ask you this. You talked about struggle, you talked about, going through hard things. I'm really curious, what is like the one thing that is absolutely the hardest for you right now during the pandemic? What are you struggling with the most?
I would say the inability to plan, the inability to almost prepare. It feels a little bit like we're in this reaction mode a lot during this time, or at least for me, it's felt a lot of like, okay, now what? Okay, now I'm going to do this because of that, as opposed to this feeling of like, okay, I got this. I'm going to, plan my next trip. I'm going to plan my next month. I'm going to plan my next few months in my business. All of those things that I'm a planner at heart. I'm a very organized person. And my past career had to do with a lot of planning and logistics and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's been the most challenging in general during this time and right now for me, because I think, I don't know, in some way you felt like, okay, by December, come on, we got to have this figured out. We got to know what's going to happen next. And I think the reality is that we don't have that ability as we used to, but also that I think it's really kind of changed for good. Like that we're, moving forward, this is kind of the way we're going to function, in that there's been this, this this feeling that we can control things, but we really, really can't. And I think that now we're realizing that, and I'm realizing that. And so it's a little bit more of like being okay with being in reaction mode and doing the things proactively that I do have control over at this point, which is, scheduling that time to go on the walks, scheduling that time for meditation, scheduling that time for yoga, those things that I know will help me to, when I get into that moment of having to react to something, to say, okay, I got this. I can work through this. I can calmly figure this out. Whatever that might be. And in this world right now, we don't, it's kind of like, oh yeah, of course. How people are very flippant about it. They're like, oh, 2020, yeah, of course that happened in 2020. The reality is there are a lot of things happening in the world right now. And so I think the challenge has been not being able to say like, oh, this is going to happen next, so this is what I'm going to do. And more so, all right, be okay, let it go with the flow, and work through it, and being confident that I can do that, and tapping into that energy that I think I have as a woman, like to be able to handle that, and work through it. So I'd say that would be the biggest thing I worked through during this time, and that I'm still working through.
Yeah, we all. I mean, the uncertainty and the confusion. I almost feel like I've been living for the past 10 months in the energy of like, oh, okay, that's over. Oh, it's over. Okay, no,
Yeah.
okay, that's it. It's over. Can we move on now? Like, and it's like it's not.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It's not letting up.
I know. And I mean, like, my body responds to it, my skin responds to it, my nervous system responds to it, my menstrual cycle responds to it. Like, everything is like, I wouldn't say upside down, but it's just like, I feel like my adrenals are like out of whack. I feel like for everybody, out of whack, because we've been in, like you said, right, reactive mode, in fight and flight, for like every single day for the past, however long it's been, going for. It's really, really hard. But at the same time, what I'm hearing you is that there is the other side, right, of the things that it had exposed for us, and the gifts that COVID gifted us. So I'm curious, what is that gift for you? Or was Project Wonderful a gift from that?
I think the gift for me has been, I've always known how important the act of going out and doing what I say is mindful photography, how important that is for me and how much joy that brings me. I think COVID really exposed that joy for me more than it ever has, even in traveling thousands of miles. You said that in the intro. I thought I had to travel thousands of miles to see beauty and to take beautiful photographs. And for me, the gift has been that it's literally in my backyard. It's literally in my neighborhood. It's literally right here in my home. And I think that's been just wonderful, because then it's like, wow, it's right here. I can have this joy all the time. I don't need to travel thousands of miles. I don't need that next thing to get there. It can be right now. I can decide right now to go outside and capture something beautiful because I know it's there. So maybe it's just being more aware of that, and being forced to look for it right here, because it was the only place I could look for it. And then just realizing, wow, it's all right here. And it's so wonderful to
Right.
know that it's right here and I can tap into that anytime I want to.
Mhm.
So that's been the biggest gift for me during this time. There's been so many gifts. And I tend to go towards the positive, and I'm more of an optimist. And so, whenever I'm talking about anything during this time, I always am like, okay, but the silver lining was this. And but I'd say that was the biggest gift for sure.
Beautiful. I love it so much. Whew. I feel like I just want to stay there. I don't want to go. I don't want to
I
move
know.
on.
I know, because it's so wonderful, and it really, I mean, it literally just is a joyful place. And I've learned also with my business to just really lean into that feeling that this is brought for me, and bring it to other things in my life. It doesn't have to just be those walks and me taking photographs, and it can be in other parts of my life, in my business. Like, what am I focusing on? Like, is this bringing me joy? Oh, not so much. I mean, obviously, there's the things we have to do in life, in our businesses, and that we just have to do. But it's been also eye opening for me to say, I don't have to do it that way. And what's going to bring me joy, and leaning into that joyful process is so much more fruitful. It's so much more beautiful than just going through a process, right?
Right, right. And I think it requires so much strength and grounding again, um, because I feel like my brain right away goes to, it's like my soul wants the joy. My soul wants to just, indulge in the beauty and the time. And I just want to lose the track of time. And then my lizard brain is like, no, but you have to pay the bills. No, you have to work. You have
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's like this toggle between, like it's like, these two kids who have such, two different personalities, and you're like the parent, and you're like, okay, so this is, now we're going to do this is the time we've allocated for beauty. Go indulge. And then, there's time for, for the things that are, the logistics of life. So it's really, again, we're coming back to masculine energy, like to the opposing energies, that what, the both of them, what makes us whole.
Absolutely. And I love what you just said about, like, I think it's just giving yourself permission. I think so often I would just say, well, I can't be in joy all the time. That's not possible. Or
It's not
I should I
sustainable.
should I should have to work hard, and I should have to have the bad days, which is true. There's the ebb and flow of life, and excuse me, there's the ebb and flow, and there's the highs and lows. But at the end of the day, it's giving myself permission to have the highs. It's okay, and I think sometimes we downplay it, or we don't allow it. And I think it's so important to allow it. So that's another thing I feel like I learned during this time.
I love that you're bringing that up, because for many, many years I really struggled. And I mean, like, I feel like we're steering into a different kind of conversation, but that's really the reason why I wanted to have you here. I wanted you to help us unpack our relationship with beauty, um, especially because as women, maybe I should just, I should just speak for myself. And I know a lot of listeners will resonate with that. I have been, I don't know if it's beating myself up. I feel like I've had a very strange relationship with beauty, um, especially when it comes to accepting myself fully, and like you're saying, giving yourself permission to see beauty. Um, so for women, looking at ourselves in the mirror
and accepting what we see as beautiful, it's one of the hardest things to do. Especially when you look at yourself and you see beauty, but around you, you keep hearing that this is not.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up like that. From a very young age, I think about a year after I got my period, my hormones were just going crazy, and I started having acne. So I remember my mom, like, it was like, it's like every time she looks at you, right? Every time she looked at me, she just, and I know I'm her daughter and she loves me. Yes. But like every time she looked at me, she would make this face of like, ugh, you know, it's almost like, oh, like, you know, and I grew up like that. And then when I became older and I already became a mom, then it was replaced by my husband, who now he doesn't approve of, you know, my skin or my face. And it's a very difficult. I know that for me, it's not. For many women, it's, you know, it's our butt or it's our belly or it's our hands. And yes, I have that too. But especially with the skin and especially with the face. So I'm just curious if you have some, I don't know, maybe nuggets of wisdom to help me and maybe the listeners who are struggling with something similar, you know, whether it is that you have a scar or maybe, you know, especially when it comes to the face that we see in the mirror every day. How can we shift our mindset around, you know, again, the noise and really see the beauty?
Wow. Thank you for that story, by the way. And it just reminded me, because I think this will have some context to what I'm about to say to answer your question. So my mother passed away when I was 14. And I remember very, very clearly, after she passed away, I started to gain some weight. And one of my childhood friends said to me, "Ooh, you know, my mom noticed that you've gained weight." And ever since then, I've always had this underlying, you know, body complex. I had one of my friends in high school was anorexic. We all kind of, the group of friends, we all started following her ways of eating because of that. So I feel like my relation to beauty is more body image, and has always been. I think for me, to answer your question, is I think a lot of where the beauty is found is internally. So I talk a lot about all this external beauty, um, that I'm capturing with my camera. And I think that's important to see, but I don't think that comes from me just seeing it. I think it comes from me being open to it, being open to looking for it, being opening my heart to whatever that is going to be. And the reason why I say that is, like, at the end of the day, you're not going to feel beautiful unless you're open to feeling beautiful. And that comes completely from within. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter what you're saying to yourself unless it's coming from within you. It's not the ego. It's not this voice on your shoulder. It's the voice that's coming from within you. So when it comes to just seeing beauty in general and seeing beauty for who I am and what I offer and external beauty, it really comes from within. And what I've done a lot to tap into that with both cases is meditation and yoga, and really just tapping into that inner voice and because we know we're beautiful, right? We know at our very depths, we know we're beautiful people, and we know we have so much to offer to the world. And it's all this noise that's really, really dampening that. So it's really challenging sometimes to tap into that, but if you can, it just completely combats that ego. It combats the whole external world to say, I know, trust myself. I know that I am beautiful. I know that there is beauty in this world. And that's when I said before, I'm the optimist. You know, I like to see the beauty because I know that there is beauty in this world. There are beautiful people doing beautiful things. So the nonprofits I work with, they're doing these beautiful things. It's like there's so much good in this world and beauty in this world. So it's trusting in yourself to see it and not, waving it away. But that takes some work.
I was listening to you, and I think I'm just going to kind of try to paraphrase what you were saying, and you tell me if I'm going, the right way. Are you saying that accepting that you are not beautiful, it's basically signing a contract of agreement with Satan or with the evil and the ego? You called it ego. Is that what it is? So as long as I accept that contract and I play within the construct of this of ego and what it wants me to believe, I don't create space for beauty or even for the possibility.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to say it. I think there are sides of all of us that are not beautiful. I think it's tapping into the beautiful side. At the end of the day, I guess what I'm saying is we have the ability to choose in what we want to see in ourselves. And I think it takes work sometimes to find what that is, and furthermore, to trust in it. And I think at the end of the day, we can find something that's not so beautiful and tap into that, and that's it. And that's when the ego comes into play, because anytime it's not beautiful, the ego's like, yes, like let me glom onto this. Whereas when you get into the beautiful side of things, it's a little harder. Your ego doesn't want you to see. Yeah, your ego doesn't want you to see that part of you. It wants to argue that. And so it's about tapping in and choosing to tap in, that I think is important. And that goes back to choosing to walk outside and look and open your eyes. Like, you can choose to walk down the street and not look anywhere. Have your headphones in, your sunglasses on, and look straight ahead and not see anything. You can choose to do that. But what I'm saying is you can also choose the other way around, which is to take a different path each day and to look around, and sometimes to not even have the earbuds in and just be fully aware of everything that is truly around you that is beautiful.
Yeah. That's it. No more things to say. We're done.
That's it.
It's so true. I feel like what you just said, it's such a big reminder for me. I mean, I think you know my story. One of the hardest things for me was because I grew up, actually, my mom, she is a complete opposite. Like, my mom, when she looks in the mirror, she loves what she sees.
because she's always been very, very put together, always makeup on, beautiful hair, you know, makeup and clothes and all of that. And I grew up seeing her, how beautiful she is and was, and yes, still is. But there was some kind of I don't know, I feel like I was being rebellious a little bit because I knew what's under the mask. And my mom struggled for many years with mental illness and just, you know, mentally and inability to cope. And again, I'm not, when I was younger, obviously that was a lot of judgment in it. So I wonder if I've manifested acne as a way to express that and saying like, I am not gonna be like you. Like I said in my speech, I am not gonna be like my mother. And I feel like it's kind of like it's a closing of the circle from the beginning of our conversation where you talked about how beauty is healing and how there is healing in beauty. But that healing is not accessible unless you put down the guards and you let the ego rest and you step into love.
Absolutely. And you go within. What you just said about the mask, you know, I feel like it's easy to have a smile on your face and put the makeup on. The hard part is going within and really tapping into that and whatever that is. And so I think beauty comes from within. It's not solely an external thing. You know, a lot of people say when you're happy or when you're in love, you can see it in people's faces. They're glowing.
Right.
That's a real thing because that's coming fully from your core and from within you. So maybe the rebellious acne is a true thing, you know, from the perspective of like, that was coming from within. That was your way to express. We express a lot. And it manifests in all different ways on the outside.
And the way to heal the acne is by giving space for love and you know, let go of the judgment and just really continue to practice, you know, the beauty. Is there a mantra that you can leave us with that I can repeat, or maybe the listeners can repeat too?
A mantra, that is really, I've never had that question. I think if I were to say one kind of statement, it would be open heart, open eyes to the beauty. I think as long as your heart is open to it, you'll see it, and your eyes will see it. You'll smell it, you'll hear it. I mean, there's beauty in all different forms. It's not just
open heart, open eyes, or the other way. How did you say?
Open heart, open eyes. Yeah.
Open heart. I wonder how many people who are, and again, it's kind of, again, it's assumption. It's a big assumption to say, but I wonder how many people end up manifesting, a struggle or a physical issue with their eyes, and then needing to have glasses because of this very issue of their heart being closed, and as a result, you know, being manifested as, right?
That's super interesting, Dorit. Yeah, I mean, I fully believe that our fears, our hesitations, our whatever it is that's going on internally does manifest in our bodies. So I'd be really interested to see what the correlation is from a mind body standpoint.
Yeah. I know Louise Hay talks a lot about that.
I love her. I love her. I'm always like, wait, what does sinus issues mean? What
Yeah.
does this mean? I'm like, what's going on here? Something's going
Right.
on here.
That's interesting
So,
you say that, because my mom suffered her whole life from sinus issues. And sinuses, it's from what Louis Hay says, that it's when something is stinky. So it's almost like you don't allow yourself to take a deep breath or to inhale or to really smell, because you're afraid that you're gonna smell something that is stinky or fishy.
oh,
It's
wow.
again, it's like there is a trust issue here too, right? Just like for me to look in the mirror and really truly see the beauty. For other people it could be smell, for other people it could be hearing, or tasting. It's all manifested and differently, but the point is that I love what you said: open heart, open eyes, open nose, open ears, open
Yeah, yeah.
everything. It
Because at
all
the end of the
starts, yeah.
day, that's what's, I mean, it is everywhere. Beauty is everywhere. It's the birds singing, it's hearing the birds singing, it's smelling the beautiful flowers. It's, I'm talking about nature because that's where I really focus in
Yeah,
my
but
healing.
Sarah, you know what? It's also the my kids' handprints on the glass. It's also the crumbs
Absolutely.
of the bread on the floor. It's also the dirty carpet. It's also my kids' marker stains on the sofa. Like there's
Yeah,
beauty in this too. And for
absolutely.
so many years,
Absolutely.
I've been just like, ugh, I was just like closing my heart. I didn't allow it. I didn't allow it in. So
Yeah.
joy and beauty is a big, big. These two are big, big um, boulders that I am. I feel like, especially during COVID, I feel like I'm really challenged to face. And it is a blessing. It is a gift. So thank you so much for this beautiful soul nourishing conversation. It's exactly what I needed.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so I know we've planned for an hour and we're already at the hour, but I cannot let you go before I ask you the second round of questions. Can we do it really quickly?
Absolutely. Let's
Okay.
go.
So these are questions about you as a woman. So short answers. Fill in the blank. Feminine power is
Beautiful energy.
okay. You're exhausted, burnt out, and feeling sucked dry. What's the first thing you do?
Go to bed.
What makes you feel confident?
Standing in the warrior pose in
What
yoga.
Yeah, I love that. What energizes you?
Meditation.
What makes you feel sexy?
Um, oh, that's a good one. I would say just putting on something sexy, a little black dress, something that is different attire than COVID attire these days.
I know, I know. I just saw this meme on Facebook. Somebody showed her laundry basket, and she's like, "Is anybody else having their um, ba- laundry hamper filled of like sweatpants?" It's so true.
Exactly.
Okay, what's powerful to you about being a woman?
Our our ability to tap into our inner selves.
Beautiful. In one sentence, what is your vision for your life? What are you creating? What's your life's purpose?
My life's purpose is to expose the beauty of the world, and that includes the people in this world.
I love that. Sarah, thank you so much. I feel like I learned so much and the things that I really, really need. Before I let you go, can you tell everybody where they can connect with you
tell us your social media handles and tell people about your Project Wonderful book and where they can get that.
Absolutely. Well, before I say that, thank you so much, Dorit. I just love your approach to all the things you do, and these conversations are on your podcast are just so beautiful and so unique. So thank you for having me and for this opportunity. My website is projectwonderful with 2Ls.com. And you can find everything on there, my social media handles, links, and all of that good stuff. And the link to my newly released book. It is a book called There's Always Something Wonderful, Small Wonders and Big Beauty from 2020. And my intention for the book was to share several of the photographs that I took in my very own neighborhood and backyard during COVID and the lockdown. And my intention is to really show that even during this time of uncertainty and unrest and natural devastation, that there is still always something wonderful and beautiful around us. And again, just having your eyes open to it and your heart open to it, it's right there. So that's a book of 21 of my favorite photos from the time. And there's a middle section that really shows some of the things that were going on, including some of the protests and the sun during the fires and the signs of kindness that were on people's lawns. So that's all there on my website.
Wonderful. Sarah, you are such an amazing person. I'm so blessed for us being connected. I cannot wait to share your book with my kids when we lit the fireplace and just talk about our backyard and how beautiful it is. I actually, one of my daughters does have this interest of taking pictures, and I've been the one like, oh my gosh, we can't afford that. Like we can't afford a camera for a child. Like a child doesn't need a camera. What do they know? But you inspire me to just slow down and say, no, like why don't try this? Maybe this would work. So
you can get a little tiny, I love that. And you can get a little tiny point and shoot camera. It doesn't have to be anything big. All of these little smartphones, you can get a really little version of that. I think it's wonderful. And I think the thought of you sitting, lighting a fire and looking at the book with your children just brings a smile to my face. And that's ultimately is just what I had hoped with this book, is to have something like that happen and bring a smile and ignite maybe people going out and getting a camera or just going in their backyard and looking around, really.
Yeah. And helping people to connect even deeper.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thanks, Sarah. It's been such
Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, before you go, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I have a small ask of you. Snap a picture of you listening to this episode and share it on Instagram and tag me at Dorit Palvanov Coaching. I love sharing your tags on my feed. Also, please rate, review, and subscribe to the show. It means the world to me, and it helps other mamas find it on iTunes. And if you're curious about Circle and would like to be a part of it, head on over to www.doritpalvanov.com/circle, CIRCLE, and join us. We discuss topics you wished your mom taught you when you were younger, like the wisdom of your menstrual cycle, how to be a queen to your king, what's the safest contraception for women, women's connection with the moon, how to talk and support your daughter through her period and her female body, and other topics like food, spirituality, sexuality, embodiment, motherhood, womanhood, and so much more. This is a safe and sacred space where you will find the answers to the questions you need but don't have anyone to ask. Your daughters need you to show up for yourself and for them. And your male partner needs you to understand yourself so well so that you can help him to understand himself better and also support you in a way that works for both of you. You will get access to my monthly PDFs, a supportive closed Facebook group of like-minded women, monthly virtual group coaching sessions via Zoom, all for $30 a month. I want you in this group. Come join us. Today is the day. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.